Hello, everybody. My name is Clark Hadley. I am the convention chair of the New York Chiropractic Council, coming at you live here with Dr. Wade Port. Dr. Port, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Clark. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. As many of you know, if you've been checking out our announcements, Dr. Port is going to be one of the fantastic speakers with us at our annual convention this September in Nyack, New York. Dr. Port, what are you going to be talking to us about this September?
Well, I'm sure we're going to cover a lot of ground. It'll be the totality of the triune, philosophy, art, and science. MLS approach to chiropractic, to practice, to adjusting is really not a technique-driven type of thing. And people will be able to understand that more when we get into it. And, really, Clark, I don't go into these types of conventions or trainings necessarily with any way, shape, or form going to the stage to say, this is what you need to do. That's not my style. It was not Arnaud Bernier's style. It is, let's invite you to come to a conversation around how we apply the philosophy and the science in the art form and see what resonates with you, see what works with you, because that's exactly what it is. An art form, and any great artist has been able to take teachings, take wisdom, and integrate it within themselves and see what their unique mastery is that can come out. So it's not a hard, this is how it is ever. It's going to be some great invitations for the participants to incorporate into their style, incorporate into their practice, just to make sure that promise of chiropractic in their office, in their community, is being lifted up and elevated in some way, shape, or form.
That's fantastic. I know when I was in school, the students that would go to the MLS seminars at that point, learning from Dr. Arnaud, it didn't matter kind of what their foundational technique was. They always came back better at whatever they were already doing, just getting a little bit of getting out of their own way, learning how to just connect with the person on their table and help get them back to where they need to be. And so backing up a little bit, just about yourself, where do you practice? Tell us a little bit about your office. And I guess eventually we'll talk a little bit about York State Association as well and how important it is to get involved with that.
Yeah, I am born and raised in Marietta, Georgia, right? And so
Fantastic.
I think when our quarter stood up to introduce ourselves, I was very proud that, hey, you guys are in my town. And then another guy stood up and said, I'm too from Marietta, Georgia. And it was Aaron Rossi, who is certainly now one of my best friends. And we adjust each other all the time. And so I'm grateful for that. And so I practiced my first 6 years in Sun Valley, Idaho, in the Rocky Mountains, which was a blast. And then it was time to come start a family. We wanted to be back home near our families. But when I was exposed to chiropractic as a teenager, I was exposed to some people and approaches that were serving at a very high level of mastery. And so that's what I assumed what all chiropractors were doing. And had a sports injury in college and ended up at a chiropractor's office. And not only did I not get adjusted, but I felt like I was in a hospital clinic, half naked, being rubbed down with jellies and shocked with electrodes and all this stuff. And I was kind of freaking out, like, what is going on here? I thought I was going to a chiropractor. And because I thought I knew, I did know, actually, I knew the principle, the philosophy, through every fiber of my being. And that happened because of the presence and the way of being of the chiropractor who introduced me when I was a teenager. And that's what set me on fire to know that I am a chiropractor. And so then, I eventually went and found a great human being, Dr. Rick Franks, who was close to where I was in school. And okay, good, chiropractic, found me. And so he was mentored me while I was in college, and then on to Life University. And a story how I kind of connected with MLS was, I had it on some very lofty ideal of what I knew could be delivered with the promise of chiropractic. And when I started to see what was happening with the training or the teaching and the curriculum, it was very disheartening. Another freak out moment of, oh my God, this can't be what I've been waiting all these years to embark upon, this manipulative, gross kind of thing. And it was, woo. And then someone said, hey, there's a training happening this weekend with this wild bald Frenchman called Making Love to the Spine. You want to go? I was like, yes, I want to go. And that's when I first met Arno. It was in 2000. And it was a tremendous sigh of relief that he was helping me understand how to apply with my two hands. I couldn't do it yet, but I saw the path on how to get there. It all made sense. I was an athlete training to build skill sets to gain mastery, made sense as a path. It didn't make sense that it should happen like that, despite most students think that they should be excellent right away and go through that frustration. So it was a tremendous sigh of relief. I saw the path, I committed to it, and I've stuck with it ever since. I was by his side for 24 years, went to every training, every camp that he hosted, of course, where he brought in amazing masters from the field and the profession around for us to train with. And it stuck. And so much that I went from volunteer staff to really being a right hand of his and being by his side of watching his coaching and his mastery of teaching, because a lot of people can do it. Not so many people can teach it in a way that is digestible and able to be integrated by a chiropractor that they can start to apply Monday morning. And I'll say, Clark, that's what I pride myself on. I have my own spidey powers in coaching and teaching that I'm able to draw out within people. And, whether that's helping them identify stumbling blocks or limiting beliefs or their blind spots, really, that they can't even realize what's holding them back. If it's fear, if it's, whatever it might be, that I can help them work through to go to their next level. I'm really good at it. So I imagine we're going to be doing a lot of live demos at the convention, to where that's where I'm at my best, rather than lecturing with a PowerPoint. But like, let's all get in the middle of the room and start mixing it up. That's where some real magic can happen there. So we'll do some of that.
We'll make sure we have a ton of folding tables and a bunch of people ready to learn. I think you're going to fit right in with our crew. We're a bunch of chiropractors that love the principle, that love correcting subluxation. That's our main focus. That's the main focus of the council, is to protect our right to do that. I know you're pretty active with the Georgia Association as well, that protects their right to correct subluxation as well. And so we're really excited to kind of partner together to have a meeting of the minds this September and see what we can do all together to become better servants to our patients in the practice. And just thank you so much for being willing to share that time with us, for taking time away from your practice in September and today, just sneaking in the back room to do this interview with us. I really appreciate that.
Of course. Yeah. Y'all are getting the Georgia collective coming up.
We are.
Great friends, Rob Scott and Jill LaMarche, and Lee Frazier's coming up. So yeah, we're bringing the train from Georgia up there, and we can't wait.
Fantastic. And then obviously we would be remiss not to mention the passing of Dr. Arno this week. For as many greats as there are in chiropractic, there's a few that really stand out. He's certainly one of them. I don't know if there's anyone that didn't learn from him at some point, or if they weren't influenced from somebody that did. And so thank you for taking his work and moving it forward and continuing to bring it to chiropractors so we can keep being our best. And I just want to give you an opportunity, if there's anything else you wanted to say, to do so.
Yeah, and thanks for that. There's really no choice when you are in love with life, and therefore in love with the principle and the philosophy of chiropractic, which is such a guidepost and such a total package for a guiding light for someone's life to have integrity, whether in their personal life, in their marriages, in their businesses, in their relationships. I see chiropractic as the total package, and Arno had such a deep passion and love for this profession and of life. And if you're on social at all, seeing the outpouring from around the world of how much of an impact this type of training that he brought forth to us has been making. That was gifted to him from his teachers, right? He didn't do it out of thin air. He just was he was more disciplined than anybody at traveling and guarding the sacred trust. And it's a real testament, and we're going to pay it forward to the younger chiropractors who will pay it forward to the children. And so I can only imagine, Clark, that the next upcoming trainings are probably going to be the bolt down the roofs, because they might blow off with the amount of energy that's pouring forth from around the world through the MLS movement. And so it's a heavy week, brother, but I know we have things to do, to carry forward.
Absolutely. And I guess before we finish here, I will ask, where do people go to learn more about MLS if they want to look at some of the upcoming events you guys have? Obviously, we hope they come join us in Nyack, New York this September, but if they're not able to, where do they learn more about you and about
Sure.
MLS?
Yeah, MLS Seminars is the website, and MLS Seminars, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, certainly, but go to the website, and we're going to be doing a training in the DC area right after the September New York Council event. And we're going to do a special for your members to come participate. So that's just a week or two after the convention. We will be a short way away in the DC area in October. We're going to be at Sherman coming up. We're doing an advanced training, upper cervical, toggle, occiput lift, and lots of other stuff in Chicago next week. So come check us out, and it'll make a big difference for you, I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you again so much for getting on with me today, telling people a little bit more about yourself. And we're going to try to pack the house for you this September and have a really great time.
Let's do it. Thanks, everybody.
Beautiful.